How many purchases do you make from Amazon regularly? And how did your Amazon purchases get featured in the White House press briefing? Let me explain. I'm Jenna, and this is Smarter News. On day 100 of the Trump administration, the White House held an early morning press briefing with the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who provided an update on tariffs and the economy. And this question came up.
It was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
Okay, stop the presses. What's this all about? Maybe it's the incessant deliveries of Amazon packages to my house, but this question certainly piqued my interest. So let's break it down because there actually is a story here, in part because of just how much Amazon permeates our lives here in America. How often do you order from Amazon? I'll go first. I will confess, although it depends on the week, we could receive multiple deliveries every other day. Amazon has saved me when I forgot to order a medieval knight costume for the fourth grade or a missing microphone for Smarter News. I've received toilet paper, flip-flops, under the sink organizers, hangers, Christmas wrapping, flashlights. Heaven forbid you see my order history. It's worse than giving you access to my junk drawer at home. It's where all the secrets are. And I also will add the pandemic really sparked that habit. Not that I didn't online shop before, but the ease of ordering some basic items that you might run to the drugstore for, or buying something just to try on, knowing you're going to return it, wasn't really a habit as it is now. And it's so easy. I offer this personal anecdote to explain this larger point. 83% of American households make at least one purchase from Amazon every single year. And on average, Amazon shoppers buy at least one item every 5 days, or roughly 73 purchases a year. This is according to research just published by Capital One. In fact, by the time I'm done with this report, an Amazon driver will have delivered approximately 10 packages, and consumers or shoppers will have placed nearly 90,000 Amazon orders just by the end of this report. So if you shop Amazon, you're not alone. And this is maybe why the White House responded to that question in this way.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
That was the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. We're going to hear from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, in a moment. The report on Amazon came from an independent media organization called Punchbowl News that tends to have some good Washington, D.C., Wall Street insight. A few hours after that report was released and that response from the White House, we did receive a response from Amazon saying this, that the team that runs our ultra low-cost Amazon Hall store considered the idea of listing import charges on certain products, but, quote, this was never approved and is not going to happen. So is this a plan that just got quashed? Was it a bad report? Was it a brainstorm? Was this floated on purpose by Amazon to see what the reaction was and maybe get attention? Who knows? We don't know. As Axios points out, a different news source, many large retailers have started some hand-wringing about what the 145% tariffs on China will actually mean for their businesses. And Axios says this is one of the reasons why President Trump has softened his tone when it comes to tariffs. Here's Secretary Bessent.
I would also add that the bringing down the terrible Biden inflation has been a priority for the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and President Trump has done a great job of leading that. Since January 20th, interest rates, mortgage rates are down, gasoline and energy prices are down. We're expecting the further decreases, and as Caroline said, the big tax on consumers that goes unnoticed is deregulation or regulation, and we are deregulating and bringing that down. So, from a household income point of view, we would expect real purchasing increases. We've seen them over the first 100 days, and we would expect that to accelerate. We are doing peace deals, trade deals, tax deals, and deregulating. And the deregulation is a longer lead time, but I think by the third and fourth quarters, that's really going to kick in.
So what is the Treasury Secretary saying here? It's actually really important because he's mapping out what the Trump administration wants to happen, and it shows that tariffs are part of a larger economic overhaul. He's saying because of the policies of this administration, you will have more money in your pocket with lower gas prices, inflation lower, taxes that are more favorable, and you'll be more financially resilient. And guess what? So will the country. That part about deregulation needing a longer lead time really matters. Put it plainly, the White House believes by the time pain arrives, you're going to have more money to spend. You're going to absorb any of these challenges that could be out there. And the US government will have the ability to collect revenue from higher tariffs. So everyone's going to be in a better financial state, at least in the long run. But here's another effect to consider in this current environment: what deals you find and the supply, between now and then. Reuters just reported today that some sellers will not participate in the Amazon Prime Day sales because they don't want to sell at a discount and they want to keep some of their inventory in case their product gets more and more expensive. If there's lower supply, which can lead to higher prices, that can actually ramp up inflation. So we have a lot of moving parts here, and a lot of if this happens, then that. A lot has to come together in order to get to the Goldilocks effect that this administration is aiming for. However, I have noticed in the press coverage that there's a lot of consideration about worst case scenarios. And we have to do that to report fairly. We could see higher inflation. We could see a more aggressive trade war or worse. But if we're going to consider the worst case scenarios, then we also have to consider the opposite, that we could see lower inflation, a better economic environment, more peace. Again, you have to consider both. By the way, do you remember when Caroline Levitt said this?
It's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
I was curious about that report. And I think I found it. It turns out it was from 2021. And it has to do with a report that Amazon chose to bend to a demand in China to not have ratings or reviews available for President Xi's book. I mean, that was an anecdote as part of this larger report that cited interviews with more than 24 people involved in Amazon's China operation. And here's what Reuters said, that, quote, the company has survived and thrived in China by helping to further the ruling Communist Party's global economic and political agenda, while at times pushing back on some government demands. So Caroline Levitt was using this report as a way to show that Amazon is cozy with the Chinese Communist Party. The report itself highlighted the challenges of working in a communist economy, which is something that we've actually talked quite a bit about when we're looking at tariffs and the way that they're applied all over the world. So listen, if you see an import price listed on your Amazon app, you open it one morning and you see it there, flag it for me, because that would be news. It would be important. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, but we're going to watch for it. In the meantime, this story is an example of how companies and the administration are both trying to communicate their goals, talk directly to consumers or to voters, and manage expectations. If you have any questions, you have any comments, you have Amazon recommendations, I'm going to take them all. hello@smarternews.com. In the meantime, thank you for your support for quick, concise, nonpartisan, Smarter News. I'm Jenna. Have a great day.